Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. It's Kentucky Derby Saturday. Race number 10 on the card is the Grade 3 Pat Day Mile, a one-turn mile for 3-year-olds and a full field at that. Let's take a look at them. This should be a war from start to finish, a great betting race. Let's talk about the horse down towards the rail, Matt, the number 1 National Flag, one of a slew of Keeneland grads in this race. 4-1 for Todd Pletcher, Flavien Prat. This horse won the Bayshore last time out, showing off a new dimension coming from off the pace.
Yeah, he had a big pace to run at, but I love the way that he finished like an absolute freight train. It's going to be interesting to see, I think, from the rail what Flavien Prat does, because this is a horse that in the past has had some nice early speed. Then he comes from a little bit out of it, and I think part of that in that Bayshore was because early on, I thought he got a little bit pinched back, and maybe that kind of hurt him as far as establishing position. The rail is going to be no bargain with some speed drawn to his outside on Saturday afternoon.
Some might argue that the outside was the place to be in the Bayshore, and National Flag came rolling down the preferred portion of the track. But this is a horse that has run fast in the past, a 100-buyer speed figure 2 starts back. He's a prime contender and seems to have found himself in these middle-distance one-turn races. A horse that beat National Flag in the prestigious Grade 1 hopeful last year at Saratoga is the number 11 Sporting Chance, who's finished 3rd in a couple of graded stakes races this year. But boy, he's just his own worst enemy. You don't know what you're going to get from Sporting Chance. Last time out, it looked like there was a chance he was going to finish 2nd in the Bluegrass, perhaps enough to propel him into the Kentucky Derby, and he just freaked out after getting hit with the whip.
Yeah, he just ducked out to the right. That's the second time he's done it in his racing career. Happens to both times end up being against Free Drop Billy, and Free Drop Billy was the one that took the worst of it both times. But I kind of feel like getting back to this shorter distance is a little bit better for him, for honestly more one turn necessarily than shorter. But also, I question a little bit, has he taken a step forward from 2 to 3? Because you look at his overall body of work, he was earning mid-80 buyers as a 2-year-old, and now he's just barely cracking 90. I don't know that he's necessarily moved forward. Having said that, this is going to be his first time getting back to one turn, so maybe this is what he's been waiting for all along.
The number 12, Restoring Hope, goes out for trainer Bob Baffert, and he's adding blinkers to Restoring Hope, and that has been a very powerful angle over the years for Baffert. Let's take a look at the formulator fact for the 12, Restoring Hope. Over the past 4 years, with 3-year-olds adding blinkers on dirt, Baffert's winning almost 40% with over a $4 return on investment. And I thought Restoring Hope ran okay in the wood. That was a very fast pace, a runaway pace setter. Restoring Hope was up close to that fast pace, and I just don't think he's as good as Vino Rosso and Enticed at this point of his career right now, but it was a decent effort to finish 3rd, and maybe with the blinks he'll take a necessary step forward.
You know, I was hopeful that this horse would run in the Belmont. I still am hopeful he'll run in the Belmont, because I don't know that most recent running style is actually what he is. I think he likes to be more forwardly placed. So that's the only reason I'm a little bit dubious of him on Saturday afternoon. I don't think this distance is necessarily ideal for him. To me, he's the kind of horse that will clip off 24-2, 24-2, and just grind you into the ground. He doesn't have any sort of brilliance, or he hasn't shown it yet. I think you get him out to 12 furlongs or something like that. I think that's really when he's going to flourish. If he doesn't run well on Saturday or doesn't win, I'm hopeful that they're going to run him in the Belmont in a few weeks.
We'd expect a fast pace in such a big field of 3-year-olds, and Timeform US concurs, as we see from the pace projector. There's a red bar, and we've got 3 horses out there scrimmaging for the lead, including the number 14 Gravitas, who did some very nice things at 2. For trainer Adam Kitchingman, it was a shame he got injured after winning the Springboard Mile. He came back in the Lexington, and he set a pretty fast pace against my boy Jack, who's on his way to the Kentucky Derby on Saturday. I thought all in all that was a good starting off point for Gravitas, and if he can sit that 3-wide tracking trip without having to go too fast early, that might be a prime position for him.
Absolutely. He could take up a beautiful sort of stalking trip. I'm a little bit concerned about the early lead change in the Lexington. Keep in mind, this was a horse that he went away for some time. He had a little bit of an ankle or a knee chip. I don't remember which one it was, but early lead change, usually not a positive thing, but if you just believe the way this race could shape up on paper, he could work out a perfect trip.
The horse expected to set the pace, according to Timeform US, is the number 2 Lambo, who went gate to wire in the Grade 3 Robert B. Lewis, but he didn't have to go very fast to win that race against a weak field. No disgrace in finishing behind McKinsey and Bolt d'Oro last time out in the San Felipe, and Michael Pender wisely has cut him back in distance, has dropped him in class. I just don't like that pace projector for him.
I was going to say, I don't know that he's quite this good, to be honest with you. Don't hold the San Felipe against him. But also going back to that run 2 starts back, I understand there was a little bit of heat as far as the Timeform US pace is concerned. But at the same time, it's a pretty soft lead, and you look and see who he was running against. ran against a bunch of horses that were just inferior. I don't think this is an advantageous setup for him.
I think the 5 Mississippi has a live chance at a big price for Mark Casse and Julien Leparoux. This is a horse that was chasing that very fast pace in the Florida Derby and then was no match for Audible and Hofburg, the 2 stalkers and closers. Again, 2 horses that are probably better than Mississippi, but certainly had a more advantageous pace scenario. I like Mississippi cutting back in distance. There is a lot of sprint ability on the bottom of his pedigree.
I think he's got a big chance in here. You could make the argument that he ran one of the best races in the Florida Derby, being as close to the pace as he was, made the first move, and then got run down by those 2 horses that'll run later on Saturday. I think turning back helps. I have to be honest with you. The 10-1 morning line, I have a hard time believing that. I think he's going to be the kind of horse a lot of people are buying into. I picked him second. I won't be surprised if he goes off in that 5 or 6-1 range.
Another long shot that must be considered is the 9, Give Me a Minute, 20-1 on the morning line for trainer Dallas Stewart. This horse mid-moved into a very fast pace in the Louisiana Derby last time out and just flattened out against several horses that are going on to the big dance on Saturday afternoon. I've always liked this horse at shorter distances. He's getting the cutback he needs. He's getting the pace he needs, but is he good enough?
We'll find out, but there is a stark contrast between his 2-turn races and his 1-turn races. This is probably what he's wanted all along. I don't think he's good enough, but there's no reason to think that he couldn't get a piece underneath.
I wanted to give Seahenge a little bit of a chance in the UAE Derby last time out, adding blinkers, and he was just terrible in his dirt debut. Now, the problem with Seahenge is he's your typical European slow breaker, and I just don't see him in a 1-turn mile with a fast pace. If he breaks slow, there's a chance he's 20 out of it early. Aidan O'Brien knows what he's doing, or he's Mendelssohn's stable companion, and he just is his buddy. I'd like to try to make a stronger case for Seahenge, but I don't know. Why is he here?
Yeah, I think this is just them taking a shot. They put a couple horses on the plane coming over along with Mendelssohn. I got to be honest, he needed to do something in the UAE Derby. I realize that was a speed-friendly track at Meydan that night, but he never picked his feet up. To me, he's a toss.
Maybe if there's a complete pace collapse, he can come with a run under Ryan Moore, but he's going to have to get out of the gate. He is getting Lasix. Maybe that will help. Let's talk a little bit about the 6 Smart Remark for Victoria Oliver. The last 2 dirt races have been good. One a sprint in which he was only beaten a neck by Derby-bound Promises Fulfilled. And then last time out at Keeneland, where he kept up to a solid pace and kept on going to win with an 86 Beyer. The Beyer's a little bit light, but I think this horse is moving the right way. Another one that could be live at a price.
I love the effort at Keeneland most recently. He was the only part of the pace that stuck around late, and you look and see there is a fast fraction in there. I thought it was a very, very good effort. Going out to a mile, I don't think it's going to be a major issue for him. I still kind of prefer him on turf as opposed to dirt, but I thought it was a very good effort, and there's no reason to think if you're looking for a big, big price, a horse like this fits.
5 of 6 starts on turf for Funny Duck, but the only dirt start produced 6 next out winners, including Promises Fulfilled. Maybe we can give him a pass for that race. I'm just not sure where he fits right now from a class standpoint and what surface he's best on.
Agreed. He would be a bit of a shocker to me.
A couple of horses coming out of the Sunland Derby. New York Central, Shane Zane, both pushed the fast pace that day and paid the price. Shane Zane finished ahead of New York Central. New York Central beat Shane Zane at Oaklawn. I'm not sure where either one of them fits in the Pat Day Mile.
Yeah, I don't particularly like either one of them. I suppose maybe they could work out a better trip in here, but I don't like their chance.
Let's talk about 2 of the more fancied contenders in this race. Let's talk about our top selections for this race. You are the biggest Madison's Luna fanboy I've ever seen, and you might be rewarded. 5-1 on the morning line. He might drift a little bit. 2 very impressive 1-turn wins, and he's by Tapit. Why can't he get the mile?
You know, I just think the sky is the limit for a horse like this. I don't know what we're going to get out of him here. This is the true acid test. They threw a lot at him in a short amount of time, considering if he's as green as he was winning that debut at Tampa. And then he shows up in the Hutchinson and absolutely blows the doors off that field. Now, again, that field may not have been spectacular. He's going to be facing much, much better company this time around. But I love everything about him. I still don't think he knows what he's doing, and that to me is a positive, not necessarily a negative. He's going to need to be more professional, no question about it. But the distance isn't going to be any sort of a concern to me. He's by Tapit, and on the bottom, he's a half to Terra's Tango. He's a half to Visionaire. He's a half to a couple other very, very nice horses. I just think the sky is the limit for this horse. I don't know what we're going to get on Saturday, but I think he's going to be able to handle it as far as talent is concerned. Whether his mind is there yet, that's the real concern.
I'll also go with the son of Tappet. That's the number 8 Mask. Off slow in his debut at Belmont back in October, but then very professional after that, rolling on by to win over Navistar. At that point, a touted Pletcher horse. Came off a little bit of a layoff. He had everything his own way in the Mucho Macho Man. There's no doubt about that. He was able to get to an easy lead, but boy, once Javier pushed the button at about the 5/16 pole, Mask moved away from that field very, very impressively. He won that race handily, you could argue. It's a shame there were some physical problems after that race, or else, who knows, he might have been in the Derby if things went right from a physical standpoint. The ability, I think, is there for Mask, and I like the versatility. He can win from the lead, which he's probably not getting on Saturday, but he can win from off of it. The layoff worries me. In Chad, I trust.
Yeah, and you know, I agree with you. The big piece, that debut, the fact that he came from off of it, I think that you can't overlook that in a race like this because he's not going to make the front. And then you brought up the layoff. In Chad, we trust. Past 2 years, dirt winner last out, 61 to 180 day layoff, 8 furlongs and less. Graded stakes races. He's 5 for 9 with a 345 ROI. This horse is going to be ready to go. The question is, can he overcome a little bit of a different pace situation in a race flow against better horses? I have a sneaky feeling he's going to be just fine and be able to run very well. The question comes down to ultimately what kind of price would you settle on?
Madison's Luna's your top pick. Give me numbers.
I'm going to go 7, 5, 1, and 12 in here.
I'll take Mask on top, 8, 12, 7, 11 in the Grade 3 Pat Day Mile. Race number 10 at Churchill Downs on Kentucky Derby Saturday is an approximate post of 4:28 Eastern. Best of luck.